It's a question that can be so confusing and so painful. How do kind, good-hearted people end up in relationships with narcissists? Well, today, we're going to unpack exactly how that happens. And we're going to use a pretty powerful metaphor to make it all make sense. Okay, let's just start with the most important thing you need to hear. Nobody, and I mean nobody, chooses a narcissist knowing what they're getting into. This quote right here, it just gets the absolute heart of it. You didn't fall for a monster, you fell for a light. You were drawn to something that felt warm and beautiful and real. Just keep that in mind as we go.
So to really get a feel for this dynamic, we're going to use an analogy. And to do that, we have to go somewhere very deep and very, very dark. I want you to imagine you're in the deep sea. I'm talking about the kind of blackness where there's no up, no down, no sunlight, nothing. It's just this vast, cold, empty space all around you. And then out of nowhere, you see it, a single glowing light. It's beautiful. It's hypnotic. And in all that darkness, it's pretty much the most captivating thing you could possibly imagine. It just radiates warmth and safety. So what do? Of course you swim towards it. It's pure instinct. Small fish in the ocean, they only see that light. They don't see the massive hidden creature that it's attached to, the anglerfish. And that right there is exactly how a relationship with a narcissist begins. So what is the creature behind that beautiful light? And why does it need the light in the first place? All right, let's pull back the curtain and actually look at the psychology that's driving this whole thing. That light, that beautiful, irresistible glow, well, it actually has a clinical name. It's called love bombing. And it's not just regular affection, it's a strategy. It's this overwhelming flood of attention and praise that is specifically designed to be irresistible, to make you feel like you have finally found the one person in the world who truly sees you. Now, here's where it gets really fascinating. You have to understand this deep split inside the narcissist. The person you meet, the one with that incredible light, that's the false self. It's this carefully built mask. It's charming, it's magnetic, it's grandiose, but it only exists for one reason, to hide the true self. And the true self is this core of just deep, unbearable shame and self-loathing. And that false self, well, it's starving, and it needs to be fed. So what does it feed on? Something called narcissistic supply. It's basically your emotional energy. They need a constant stream of your admiration, your attention, your love, just to keep that false self propped up and to keep that unbearable shame of the true self hidden away. Without it, their whole world just collapses. And can you guess who the absolute best sources of this supply are? Kind people, loving people, empathetic people. It's not an accident. They're drawn to your goodness by design because your capacity to love and to care is the highest grade fuel for their needs. So let's be perfectly clear about this. Your empathy is not your weakness. It is precisely what they hunt. So once you're drawn in by that light, the trap slowly starts to close around you. And there are 5 really clear signs, 5 closing walls that most people miss because, they're so completely focused on that beautiful light. These are the red flags that show the trap is closing. First, everything moves too fast, too soon. That intensity feels like love, but it's really a trap being set. Second, they have no stable past. Every single ex is the crazy one. Pay attention to that. Third, your emotions become inconvenient. Your pain becomes an interruption to them. Then comes the shift. The warmth just vanishes, and you're left desperately trying to get it back. And finally, you start questioning reality. They create this fog of denial and confusion until you wonder if you're the problem. And that's it. The trap is fully closed. So if any of that sounds familiar, this next part is maybe the most important thing you'll hear. It's about completely reframing your experience, not as some kind of personal failure, but as what happens when your greatest strength meets someone's deepest, darkest hunger. Please just let this one sink in for a second. You are not crazy. You are not weak. You are not naive for falling for this. You were kind. You were just a kind person who ran into someone who had spent their entire life learning how to turn kindness against the person who carries it. And here is the core truth that can honestly set you free. All of it, the love bombing, the sudden shift, the manipulation, none of it was ever a reflection of your worth. It was never about whether you were good enough to keep that light on.
It was always and only about their hunger, their desperate, bottomless need to feed that false self. It's predatory, yeah, but it's also impersonal. It had nothing to do with who you are.
Understanding all this isn't just about looking back at the past. It is about taking your future back. Because once you finally understand the dynamic, the whole illusion just shatters.
And this right here, this is the key. The second you see the anglerfish hiding behind the light, it loses all its power over you. You can't unsee it. And that awareness, that's not just a step towards freedom, that is freedom. So, seeing the truth, it really changes everything. It puts the power right back in your hands. Which leads to the big question, right? What happens next? What do you do with this freedom? This experience, it doesn't get to define you. It really doesn't. You are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become now, armed with this new understanding. Let's just end on this thought. That light, it was just the lure. Your real worth, your kindness, your empathy, that was always the real treasure. And you were always, always worth so much more than the light they used to catch you.